Hello. Alright, I've got a wacky one for you. And the outcome of this really surprised me some. It'll surprise you too. Stay tuned. And hey, be sure to like this video. Be sure to comment, say something. I'll say something back. Be sure to subscribe. It'll give me a little bit of encouragement, a little nudge nudge. Keep doing what I'm doing, and I would appreciate it greatly. Anyways, so, back when I was in grade 10, I went to this ADD school. It was a private school. And, it was a real pain, for the most part, because, like, most of these kids had basically, very, severe autism-type symptoms. At least in my grade. And, I have very severe ADD, but at the ADHD part, like that, I dropped the H when I started high school. Coincidentally, when I started smoking cigarettes, I don't know if there's a correlation there, but I just have a lot of trouble focusing. And you know what doesn't help? When all the kids in the class are yelling constantly, throwing things. Oh, I think this is funny. I'm interrupting the teacher. Oh, it's funny kind of thing. Like, it took my class 6 months. 6 months to read Animal Farm. It took me 1 week. I just popped in my headphones, just read it. I mean, it's cool because I got to choose, the next books I wanted to read. Like, I chose Brave New World because I heard it's very similar. But the only way I made it through that school was essentially by getting stoned to the fucking dome every lunch. And doing whippets every lunch with my friends. Because I had some friends who went to an alternative school across the street. I was also adjacent to a very big high school, which I had some friends who went there. And yeah, so I had plenty of people to hang out with. I associated mainly with the kids who were in grade 12, 2 years older than me at the time, because they were all metalheads. I really liked metal, even though I was kind of a flaily little hippie kid at the time. And yeah, so that actually helped though, because I would get stoned and I would just hone in on what I was doing, and I would get it done. As I said in my pot video, I find that pot for people with severe ADD or autism, it can help you just kind of focus on what's in front of you. I'm not saying that applies to everyone, but it applies to me, I think. And so yeah, I made it to that school pretty much on drugs, or made it through that school on drugs, essentially. And that really factors into this story. The night before I had to do my exams, I was hanging with, my ex, the one who's the acid dealer, who's way older than me, and she gave me 4 hits of acid. Oh, it's so good, you're graduating, grade 10, and here, have some acid. And so I was like, okay, it's only 6 o'clock, whatever. I'll be sober by the time I get up for school. Stupid on my part, very stupid. I was young and I was in love, and I didn't want to look like a fucking fool or a wimp or whatever, so I took it. And then she fucks off an hour later, anyways. I'm with my 2 friends, and the acid starts kicking in around 7:30, maybe 8. They hang out with me for a couple hours more, but they're bored. They're not on acid. They're getting tired, so they go home. I go home around midnight. And I get home, and I make the stupid mistake of going, okay, I'm just going to smoke a joint and try to sleep. I don't know, for some reason it didn't register at that point in my mind that smoking weed makes psychedelics way more intense. And it actually goes both ways, I find. You also, because I smoke weed on every psychedelic, essentially, I'm used to this, I know these effects quite well. I find it also makes you feel way more stoned, because your senses are very heightened, and if you get stoned, you'll feel stoned for a lot longer. I find anyways. And so I go in my room and I lie down, and I didn't sleep at all. Of course, I mean, I was freaking peaking. And so it was that 8 hours I spent in my room was like being in a kaleidoscopic factory. Like, just remember, like, bright green, bright yellow, bright pink, just swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. And I had this little heater, it's about that big, and it was just, like, it wasn't very loud, it was just a kind of sort of sound. But it was, like, the sound was, like, just, because it was so distorted, and it became louder and louder and louder. And then it started to fragment off into different sounds, and then there's a flanger effect going on, a bang, 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 bang sort of sound. Holy Moses. It's actually pretty cool, but it sucked because I needed to sleep, right? I had my science exams, and science was the class that I was not doing very well in. So I needed to do well here, or it was my ass. So, anyways, like, I get woken up to go to school, and like I go to the metalhead kids, and I was like, I'm a little cheap, but just a like, I was that, like, obviously on acid. And they're like, are you on acid? Because they knew I was talking about doing acid every weekend, so they're like, they knew what the drill was anyways. And so I was like, yes, I am on acid. And they're like, that is not a very good idea. You are doing your exams now. It's like, I know, I was not intending for this to happen. So I was very much still high as fuck. Even though it was like 12 hours later, because I smoked that joint, I kicked it right back in. So like, yeah, I get in there to do my exams, and like, I've never had this happen on any other psychedelic. I was looking at the page, and I couldn't read anything. Like, the letters were literally like coming off the page and onto the desk. This is 4 hits of acid I'm talking about here. So, you know, this was no just like frolicking in the lethargic playground, like the sandbox. No, this was the big leagues. This was a pretty heavy dose of LSD, 25. And yeah, so I got it in my mind that, like, oh well, like, I've seen these, like, sort of these studies, these trials where people just randomly pick stuff. Sometimes they can get like 50-50. I was desperate, man. I could not for the life of me read these questions. And yeah, so I just kind of winged it. But oddly enough, I like took my time in a weird way, even though I wasn't like able to process and like comprehend what the questions were. And yeah, so I left feeling pretty damn hopeless, needless to say. And I was like, yeah, I'm never doing that again. I mean, but funnily enough, the next day I went in, did my exams, I had some ketamine on me. So, since I had to stick around because they had to grade my exams or something for an hour, I did a rail of ketamine in the bathroom and just came out and, like, plopped down for the next hour. But that was because I was done my exam at that point. I mean, I wouldn't really advise that either. It's a good way to get in trouble because, you know, ketamine, like, it's pretty obvious when you're on it. It may not seem like it to you, but to everyone else, trust me, it's obvious. But yeah, so needless to say, though, I actually did pretty damn well. I got, I think, 75%, which, you know, it's not, like, usually if I pay attention, I'll do better than that. But considering I had no idea what a single one of the questions were, like, that blew me away. I was like, no, this is a joke. Someone in the staff must have known I was fucked up, and they're like planning this to get me to come to them and be like, really did this happen? And they're gonna be like, gotcha. You know, I thought there was something elaborate like that going on, because I just couldn't believe the fact that just winging it with a head full of acid, I was able to do as well as I did. It just seemed beyond the realm of, like, just plausibility. I mean, like, because, you know, like, those random kind of trials I was talking about, you know, people who would wing it, they'd get maybe, like, 40 to 60% at the most. I think that's what I was hoping to get it the best. So this was a trip, man. It was a trip, but I think in a way I was processing it like the answers, just not through my conscious mind. Maybe my subconscious mind was like, okay, buddy, you fucked up here. We'll take it this time. Um, we got you. I think that's what was happening. I think my brain was processing it on some level, just was not immediately obvious to the olfactory senses, right? That's my hypothesis, anyways. I'm not going to say like some spirit hijacked my body, like Einstein decided to be like, oh, I'm going to come out of the astral planes because this kid's on acid, so he's sensitive, and I'm going to do his test for him. But since I'm Einstein and I didn't do very well at school, I only got 75%. Oh yeah, and that whole Einstein didn't do well at school thing, that's a myth. I think. Could be wrong about that. I think that's a myth. But anyways, moral of the story is not do it on acid and hope for the best. I am very lucky that this turned out the way it did. I took that as a fucking blessing, man, and I never did my exams on hallucinogens again. Remember, I did shrooms the day before my grade 11 exams, but that was like, nice thing about shrooms is you can do them like after work. At least I found I could do them like after work, after school, and I could go to bed and get up and be totally fine the next day. Because there's 6 hours at the most you're giving to it. But I was like, yeah, no more just meddling like that. Because that so could have gone south for me. It could have gone south. I could have failed science because of this. It's a stupid decision. You hear me? Don't do it. Don't do anything like what I'm talking about. Please, for your own good. I'm here to share my fuck-ups so you can learn with me, not so you can recreate them yourself. I'm just throwing that out there. I know you probably won't, but throwing that out there so people don't get the wrong idea. I don't want, soccer moms seeing it. You need to tell my kids to take acid during their exams. I'm gonna report you. No. If anything, this is a stern caveat against drugs. Right? Right? Right. Yeah, right. Okay, well anyways, that's all. That's all. Shorter than usual, but still a zany, I think, anyways. I think my friends find it a funny story. Maybe you will too. Have a good day. Bye-bye.